flappers, typical. They're literally just coming out now.
Thank you. Sorry it's taking me a while to figure out what to do. That's all good.
Tell me pop start as well.
Tell them what?
I'll text them, Joanne.
Yeah, that's fine. Thanks, Caroline. Okay, hang on. Hi, Mark. Just about to do a live at England train. Can I call you back in about 20 minutes? Go on. Go on, if it's brief. They're coming to me in like 35 seconds, so go on.
Sure.
Okay. Stop, man. I'll give him a call. Thank you, mate. Thanks, Mark. Good luck with it. Would you mind, mate? Yeah. I've got a wanted appeal out for him. No, I need to ring afterwards.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Furthest point possible. Nice Gareth. Miles away.
Where's Gareth?
Right by the dugout.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we're going to first, Rob. Come on then. First question.
Southgate in a group, really. It's just the general stuff for the first answer.
So do you want me to the group or to Southgate? I'll go to Gareth. I'll go to Gareth first and he might walk over to him. Here we go.
Do you know what? It has been a lot of negativity on social media and from the media and from England fans. It wasn't great from England last night, let's be honest. But if you look at the 10 players that are out there, they're going through their motions and they're going through their training routines perfectly happily. We can see Gareth Southgate, look, with Steve Holland. They're going to have some discussions today and analyse what went right, what went wrong, but they all look pretty cheerful, I think, in truth. And I think, look, there's been a lot of criticism, some of it warranted, some of it a little bit over the top, I think, from my perspective, about England's performance last night. And you've got to look at the performance that Denmark put in. They are a very experienced team, 21st in the FIFA World Rankings. They are by no means any mugs, and England have no divine right to expect to roll these teams over, I think you have to say. It would be extreme arrogance to think they could do that. Denmark played well. They caused England loads of problems. And England's pressing game didn't work in a way that Denmark's did work, and I think Gareth Southgate was scratching his head a little bit about that. But there are some wider concerns for Gareth Southgate, which we've discussed a lot and we'll discuss again here. The 10 players you're looking at out there, by the way, now are the players that didn't feature at all for England last night. So the substitutes that came on are not out there. There's no Ebere Eze, there's no Ollie Watkins, there's no Conor Gallagher, there's no Jared Bowen. They'll still be doing recovery plans with the rest of the England squad. But look, the fact of the matter is, we said before the tournament that a lot of England's players are undercooked. A lot of their key players are not fully fit, and that was very obvious last night. Harry Kane is getting so much criticism. I can tell you, Harry Kane is not fit. He had that back problem which kept him out of the final 3 games of Bayern Munich's season. He's been struggling ever since. He's been battling to get fit as a result of that. And you look at others. Kieran Trippier cramped up in the first game because he played no football for a month. John Stones had started 1 Premier League game since the middle of March, so had only played 90 minutes in 3 months coming into this tournament, missed training. had an ankle injury that he picked up in the final warm-up game. He is not fully right yet. Bukayo Saka likewise missed Arsenal's last game of the season, has been battling back to full fitness. So Southgate's plan has been to give these key players game time. They're not playing 100%, they're not playing to their full potential. That is very, very obvious. But the manager's hope is that that will come. The more games they play, the more minutes they get in this tournament. And so there's no panic from the England manager or the England players at all, despite that very lacklustre display last night. And I think you've got to look at what's happened in previous tournaments as well. England don't win every single game. If you remember the yawn in the USA headlines from Qatar when England only managed to draw against America and were heavily criticised. They went on and improved after that as they got into the knockout stages. So England have been here before, they've seen it before. Yes, it wasn't great and there are concerns that we'll go into over the next few minutes with you, Chris, I'm sure. But no reason for panic within the England ranks, and the manager was saying, look, England have got to be better than that. He knows there are some problems, he knows there's stuff to work on. Well, look, again, I think you need to point out that Gareth Southgate's future is in his own hands at the moment. The FA, my understanding is, from the people I speak to, desperately want him to extend his contract that's due to expire in December. They would like him to continue for more tournaments. It's Southgate himself who did that interview with Bill before the tournament that said, look, if we don't win the trophy, I don't expect to be here. And I know he has ambitions in club management. When will he want to step back into club management? After his brilliant record with England, you have to say, getting them to a World Cup quarter-final and semi-final, a Euros final, he'll have a pick of some pretty high-profile jobs, I'm sure. So his future will be discussed after the tournament, but the pressure he is feeling right now, along with Steve Holland, his assistant, who you're looking at now, is all about getting the best out of the players and getting better results. And look, I'm going to say something controversial. I'm going to book the trend now. I think the decisions that Southgate has made, particularly last night, he got right. He's been criticised so much in the past for playing two defensive midfield players in tournaments. You know, how many times have we heard that clamour? Gareth, you're not getting the attacking talent on the pitch. Well, he tried something with Trent Alexander-Arnold, England's best ball player, England's best crosser of the ball. He's been working with him on the last 12 months in training, away from our cameras, and in games to try and get him in this midfield role that he doesn't play for Liverpool. It hasn't worked. I think that experiment is now dead, and there was a very sad-looking Trent Alexander-Arnold that walked through the mix zone last night. It was boiling hot and really humid down there, but he was snugged up in his hoodie, with his hood up, hiding away from the media. And when we said, can we have an interview Trent, he said, not today, lads. He looked broken. He looked very, very disappointed. He knows it's over. I think Southgate knows it's over. Conor Gallagher came into the side. He's a natural number 8. He's good going forward, he's good coming backwards. I think Southgate will stick with Conor Gallagher going forward from here. But you can't criticise Southgate for trying something which the fans and the media have been clamouring for so long. He's been criticised, Gareth Southgate, for not making substitutions quickly enough, not seeing that the game is changing and going away from England and then making positive substitutions. Well, he did last night. He took Alexander-Arnold off at 54 minutes to bring Gallagher on to say, look, it's not working, we're losing the battle in midfield, we need to change it. I can't remember a time where he's made 3 substitutions at the same time in a tournament game. He did that before 70 minutes to bring on those players we talked about. Eze, Watkins, Jared Bowen, because he knew the game was going away from England. So look, I think a lot of the problems for me are beyond Gareth Southgate's control right now. There are fitness concerns over the captain Harry Kane, those other players. They've got players that are not coming into it in form. And a lot of people will say, okay, play the players that are in form instead. You're looking out there now, look, there's Cole Palmer right in the middle of your picture. Cole Palmer has been outstanding for Chelsea this season. The number of goals that he's scored himself and created, he needs to be banging that team. Yes, I think we'll see more of Cole Palmer in the games coming up. And it'll be interesting to see, by the way, what Gareth Southgate does in this final game, because it's not a dead rubber now. England have a 97% chance of qualifying from here, an 87% chance of topping the group. Doesn't sound bad, does it? Let's be honest. I think there's a lot of other nations, Belgium included, that would snap your hand off to be in that situation. But it's not done. They have 4 points. That's not guaranteed that they will qualify from there, and he will want to top the group as well. So he can't rest an awful lot of players, and throw in the likes of Esri Konza there on the right. Joe Gomez might play left back. Lewis Dunk there, maybe he'll play centre back. Cole Palmer, get him on. Adam Wharton. You can't just throw them all on, give them game time, and rest the big guns, because England need at least a point out of the game, and he'll want to win it. He'll want to win that final game as well, to put to bed some of the criticisms that we've been talking about. I think there are real concerns over Harry Kane, and look, let's focus on Ivan Toney, who's in the middle of your picture there. Ivan Toney hasn't made his tournament debut yet, he hasn't had any football. I think there's a really good chance he will buck that trend and get on the pitch at least in the final game against Slovenia. But the question marks I have over Harry Kane are all to do with his fitness. You can't question Harry Kane's ability. I mean, look, he scored last night, and he's now scored in 4 major tournaments. He scored 13 goals in major tournaments. That's 3 more than Gary Lineker. It's 4 more than Alan Shearer, 2 guys who were criticising him very heavily last night, by the way. And I know a lot of people that have thought that was a bit much coming from them. He scored 6 more tournament goals than Wayne Rooney. Harry Kane is England's greatest ever goal machine, but he's not fit. That's the facts of the matter. And I don't know what the medical reports that Gareth Southgate and Steve Holland are looking at say about it. Does he need more game time in the legs to sort of build up his sharpness, or does he need to be protected because of that back problem that he's had that's maybe still bothering him? Of course, England are keeping all of that information very closely under wraps. Whenever the manager is asked about Harry Kane, he's pretty tight-lipped about it. He doesn't want all his opponents knowing exactly the medical condition of his captain and probably most important player. I think I worry about Harry Kane going forward. He isn't sharp. He scored last night, but he just wasn't himself still. He's not as mobile. He doesn't have the same sharpness and energy levels that we're used to seeing. He can't seem to keep up with play as much as he has done in the past. Very often when England did play, Harry Kane was maybe 20 yards deeper than he would be in normal circumstances. So might Ivan Toney be the answer? Fully fit, desperate to play, out there, raring to go. We've seen Ollie Watkins on the pitch for England. Will Ivan Toney get more of a game as well? I think it'd be really, really interesting where they go from here. But yeah, let's just end it with a bit of a positive, shall we? Because it doesn't feel like it on a pretty grey, dreary, supposedly summer's day here in the middle of Germany. And I'm sure the England fans are feeling exactly the same back home. Let's remind you, England, 97% chance of qualifying from here, and 87% chance of topping the group. They're unbeaten. They've had problems like this in previous tournaments in the past. Let's see where they go from here. My concern is the niggling worries about players that are out of form and aren't fully fit in the background. But yeah, that's it from England today. This short training session while the rest of the squad carry out their own recovery programmes indoors. No media access, no interviews today. We'll be back at training with England around this time tomorrow, and then we will be talking to one of the members of the squad and finding out exactly what the mood's like. Yeah, fine.
How long are we on?
We've got 2 minutes left.